Arc Raiders, squad-based looter extraction shooter that's been getting people talking. Is it another rinse and repeat looter that burns out in after a week, or the kind of game that keeps you actually coming back? Today I'm gonna break down the story, graphics, gameplay, controls, and sound design, and I'll tell you straightforward how I feel about looter shooters and extraction games. Spoiler, I love this right now, but I'll tell you where it could die off. Alright, quick disclaimer. I want you guys to tell me, I'm working with the lighting, I'm trying to fix the noise, grain in the video and whatnot. So tell me what lighting works better for you. My intro was on a different lighting and now this is on more higher lighting or whatever. Alright, so quick overview. Arc Raiders is built around cooperative missions, purposeful loot progression, and repeat raids where extraction matters. It wears the looter shooter extraction label but tries to blend narrative elements with focused combat encounters. If you're here for the long-form verdict, right now, I love the game. It's satisfying, and the gunplay is satisfying. Smart enemy designs and progression loop that feels meaningful, but it's still vulnerable to the same pacing and repetition that plagues many other looter shooters. Alright, so let's talk story. Arc Raiders doesn't try to be the sprawling RPG. It gives you a tight hook, a world in crisis, corporations versus fractions fighting over resources and tech, and you're part of a specialized team sent into a hotspot. What works? The set piece, the mission framing, actually feels purposeful. You're not just grinding for the world's greatest pistol. Most missions have a tangible narrative and reason to exist. Where it leans weaker is depth. The characters can feel a bit archetyped, type-ish. Cool leader, the jaded techie, the wild card. Some of the dialogue hits familiar beats, but here's the thing. When the game leans in short, sharp storytelling between raids, it elevates the risk and reward loops. Little lore drops, environmental storytelling, and mission-specific audio logs help the world feel lived in without demanding hours of reading codec entries. If you're a story first person, don't expect a Gears of Thrones style odyssey, but if you want context for the raid, a reason to risk extraction, the narrative does its job. So, graphically, Arc Raiders is a looker. It looks great. The art direction strikes a nice balance, realistic enough to sell stakes, stylized enough to keep it readable during hectic combat. Textures work on armor and environments are solid. The lighting does a lot of heavy lifting. Neon-drenched cities, harsh desert dust, cramped industrial interiors, small touches like sparks from damaged drones and scorch marks from explosives, and readable HUD contract really helps. Alright, so slight performance note, depending on your platform and the settings, there can be like a little frame dips in crowded firefights, but overall the visual design helps readability. Enemies pop, your weapons are clear, the visual cues for objectives are intuitive. This matters during extraction shooters where split-second decisions are everything. Alright, so the heart of the review. The gameplay is where Arc Raiders shines the most. Core loop, you pick your mission, drop in with a squad, complete the objectives. Kill, disable, salvage. Collect the loot, and make it to the extraction. The tension of getting out alive is real, especially when the extraction can be contested, or the extraction window is really small. So, gunplay and enemy design. The guns feel weighty. There's recoil, impact, and distinct sound for each weapon class. Enemies aren't just health sponge, they have roles. You'll face fast skirmishes, heavy units with shields, and support drones that force you to change tactics. Boss or mini-boss encounters are satisfying because they compel team coordination. On to progression and loot. Loot rarity matters. You find attachments, mods, and gears that actually change the playstyle. That being said, the RNG loop is present. You will grind for upgrades. The difference here is that many of the rewards are incremental and meaningful, not just another gun with slightly better numbers. That keeps the loop satisfying a lot longer. Why can't I speak today? What is going on? Co-op and PvP elements. If you're playing with a friend, the synergy between roles is strong. Medics, tech classes, and heavy gunners all shine. The extraction tension is amplified when you don't know whether another team will show up to contest your exit. If extraction fights become A-B extraction, they can be repetitive, but Arc Raiders often mixes objective and randomizes elements that keep runs fresh. So, Here's where it gets a little dicey, where it runs the risk of repetition. This is a big one. Looter shooter extraction games do have the tendencies to loop into the same patterns, the same mission types, the same maps, the same sections, the same enemy spawns. Arc Raider, though, fights that tendency by adding mission modifiers, rotating objectives, and a decent variety of gear. Still, after dozens of hours, you may find yourself feeling familiarity kind of creep in. That's not unique to Arc Raiders though, it's the genre of the game. Real talk, I've played a lot of looter shooters and extraction games, and my personal itch is that they tend to get repetitive and boring after a while. You start to feel like you're doing the same dance until a new season or update injects life into it. But right now, Arc Raiders keeps me interested. The pace, the enemy variety, and the satisfaction of nailing a tense extraction makes it a great game, at least for the time being. Controls are critical, and Arc Raiders mostly gets them right. Aiming is responsive across input methods. Movements feel fluid, sprinting, sliding, mantle all works predictably. Abilities and gadget inputs are well mapped, and the cooldown and energy economy forces smart play rather than just button smashing. The HUD is clean with clear objective markers and color-coded enemy highlights. There are accessibility options for button remapping and aim assist, which is always a big plus. What could be tighter, a couple of necessities could improve: slightly clearer feedback on enemy armor stats, and better tooltips for some late game mods. Also, menu navigation during matches, specifically for loadout swaps, isn't as fast as I like it to be. It can slow down the momentum if you're trying to respec between waves. Sound is a massive part of any game. Arc Raider nails the audio side. Guns sound crisp and distinct. You can tell an SMG from a shotgun even without looking. Enemy audio cues, mechanical wares, radio chatter, and alarms add tension, and they give you important tactical info. The music, the score ramps up when it needs to, moody during exploration, intense during firefights, and triumphant on successful extractions. The soundtrack blends electronic and orchestrated elements in a way that supports the sci-fi setting without getting too cheesy. Audio mixing is balanced. Footsteps, distinct explosions, and voice lines each have space. A few lines can get drowned in very loud firefights, but overall the soundscape is immersive and helps gameplay readability. So the endgame is a test for any looter. Arc Raiders Endgame offers high difficulty missions, seasonal objectives, and meta progression that unlocks advanced gears and cosmetics. The quality of the endgame, though, specifically depends on how well the developers keep adding new content and meaningful goals. Alright, so I'm gonna touch on, in my opinion, why it works for now and why it may fade in the future. For now, the grind feels less hollow because the rewards are meaningful, and there are multiple builds that you could experiment with. There's also time-limited events and modifiers that keep things spicy. Why it may fade in the future: without regular content updates, new mission types, maps, and enemy fractions, any looter runs the risk of repetition. The game needs dev support to stay fresh for a long time. But as of now, the design choices set the game up to survive longer than most. Alright, so my quick pros and cons, in my opinion. So, game offers satisfying weighty gunplay, smart enemy varieties that demand tactics, visuals and sounds that sell immersion, loot that meaningfully changes the playstyle, big one, and extraction tension that actually matters. My cons: runs the risk of repetition. It's inherent to the genre. Minor UI menu friction during runs, some character voices that kind of like lean into the archetypes, which is kind of cheesy. Performance dips on lower end hardware in crowded scenes. Simple. You guys got beef with my pros and cons? You know where to see me. Come see me in the comments like you always do. I'm there for all the smoke. So, my final verdict: Arc Raiders is a great game as of now. If you like cooperative shooters, tactical combat, and the thrill of making runs and getting out with higher tier loot, this is worth your time. If you're burnt out on looter extraction loops and dread the same mission shapes repeating, fair warning, the genre can still do that. But Arc Raider is doing its best to delay the burnout. Meaningful loot, variety of enemies, solid sound and visuals, and pacing loops that reward skill. Alright, so at the end of everything, I give Arc Raiders an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's fair. Great design and moment-to-moment combat. With repetition, risk, that depends later on like further updates. As always, if you like this review, hit the like, subscribe, and tell me your comments. Do you think extraction shooters get repetitive? Tell me why. And if you play Arc Raiders, what's your favorite loadout? I'm planning on streaming some of the high difficulty runs this week, so drop by on Twitch. You could come by on YouTube as well, but preferably Twitch, and watch me live. I'm out, you guys. Stay sharp. And even if you don't like the video, still subscribe. I like all the smoke, like I said in the comments. I like this healthy debate. Hit me up. I'm out. Peace.